still protesting today.
Amidst the drumming and the cheers was a familiar refrain from protesters at the country's oldest celebration of Irish heritage. That's LGBT activist group Irish Queers calling for more openly gay groups to be allowed to march under their own banners. The one LGBT group that was allowed to march is called Out at NBC Universal. They are employees of NBC, the parade's broadcaster, and Northrop of Manhattan says allowing one group is not enough.
I'm here because the St. Patrick's Day parade organizers think they made a compromise, but in fact it's all a corporate deal. It has nothing to do with really opening up the parade and welcoming gay people in, and certainly not Irish gay people.
Parade organizers say they had welcomed LGBT marchers to join with other non-LGBT groups in the past, but Hillary Byrne, the parade's executive secretary, says recent protests and negative publicity pushed organizers into allowing the parade's first openly gay group to march together with their own sign.
It was a logical step based on recent years' events and society changes, and this was the group that we selected to ensure the integrity of our parade.
The decision to include them came after Guinness and Heineken dropped their corporate sponsorships last year in protest of the ban on openly gay groups, and now both beer makers are back. Craig Robinson, a member of Out at NBC Universal, says his employer and group saw joining this year's parade as an opportunity.
We know progress sometimes comes in small steps, and that by being the first group, that it would perhaps make it easier for other groups to march in subsequent years.
This has never been about a gay group. It's been about Irish LGBT people out and among our own community.
Brendan Fay started his own LGBT-friendly parade called St. Pat's for All 15 years ago. It's become the go-to event for the current mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio. He boycotted both last and this year's Fifth Avenue parade, despite the change by parade organizers, a change that doesn't sit well with parade goer Ed Riley of New York's Westchester County.
Gay groups should not be allowed in the parade because if you operate as a gay group, the immediate assumption is that you are fostering or encourage that type of activity.
But for Stacy Decker of Middletown, New York, adding an LGBT group is welcome news, though she says she respects the views of more conservative parade organizers.
I think it's great if everybody can be included, but I also think that they're entitled to their beliefs, and they shouldn't be forced to include everybody.
The TV broadcast of the parade did not include every group in this year's parade. This year's only openly gay group was scheduled to start marching after the broadcast ended. Hansi Lewong, NPR News, New York.
News of a very early retirement is jolting the NFL. 24-year-old linebacker Chris Borland says he's retiring after just one season with the San Francisco 49ers out of concern for his safety, in particular, fear of the effects of repetitive head trauma. I don't think it's worth the risk, Borland told ESPN's Outside the Lines. I just want to live a long, healthy life.
It's a unique decision to me. I've done a lot of research of what I had experienced in my past, projected to what I would have to do to be the linebacker I wanted to be, and for me it wasn't worth the risk.
Bill Barnwell has been writing about this story for Grantland, and he joins me now. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And Bill Borland was one of the NFL's top rookies last season. He had a great first year. Is this unprecedented to see a player step away from the game this early, and specifically citing the fear of brain injury?
I don't believe there is a precedent. There are guys who have retired because of religious awakenings this early in their career, players who obviously have had actual injuries occur to them that they've retired as a result of those injuries. And there are players who have accrued some level of financial security, but nobody's retired for a proactive reason.
Yeah, Chris Borland is not showing any symptoms, apparently, of neurological damage, but he told ESPN he read a lot, he talked with a bunch of concussion researchers, and he decided that this was the smart thing to do, as he put it, to stop banging his head.
That's true, and you have a lot of NFL players and a lot of people around the NFL who have come out and supported Chris Borland. There really has not been much in the way of dissent from people who sort of have that old-time mindset that you have to be tough and play through injuries. That's mostly gone from the NFL.
You know, it's worth pointing out here that Chris Borland apparently had just 2 diagnosed concussions. One way back in 8th grade playing soccer, another in high school, maybe one more during training camp with the 49ers. The real issue for him, I guess, was all of the subconcussive hits that are just an intrinsic part of the game of football.
Right, and not only that, Chris Borland was a player who was undersized. He was a very physical player, but he was someone who had to use every ounce of strength he had and had to use his body in ways that other players simply don't. And I really think he could have had a long career in the NFL if he'd been able to stay healthy and wanted to play in the NFL, but he was definitely someone who was at risk for more concussions just because of his size and the style of football he played.
Does Chris Borland, though, have options that other NFL players might not have? He said he plans to go back to school, maybe pursue a career in sports management. Is it easier for him to walk away from the game then for some other players who might need the money, might not have any options outside the league?
I think that makes a lot of sense. There's definitely some level of flexibility for Chris Borland. He does have a 4-year degree from Wisconsin. He can afford to go to school and get his graduate degree. He can afford to pursue different avenues as a professional. And not only guys who are younger who maybe don't have the money to go back to school or the experience or the skills necessarily, but guys who have been in the league for 7, 8, 9 years they're already beat up and banged up, and they might say, well, you know, I can't really go back to school. I'm kind of at the point now where I have to just get as much money as possible and develop some level of financial security for myself and my family before I quit playing football.
Do you see long-term implications for the NFL here, Bill? I mean, a number of other players that you might anticipate doing the same thing in a way that would really jeopardize the future of the game, or is this an outlier?
Well, it's sort of going to fall somewhere between those 2 extremes. I do believe that there will be other players besides Chris Borland who follow the same type. Players to be that Chris Borland had when he made his decision. I think it's going to be sort of a more vulnerable game.
Bill Barnwell, thanks so much for talking with us.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.
Bill Barnwell, staff writer with Grantland. We were talking about the retirement of 49ers linebacker Chris Borland at age 24 out of concern for his safety.
It's NPR News.
Much of Colorado will be getting some rain over the next couple of days. These last few days before the start of spring. That's along with that range and around Pueblo and western Colorado. Rain and snow possible in the mountains around Vail tomorrow and again on Thursday. This is Colorado Public Radio. Temperatures should be a little warmer around Denver tomorrow with highs in the mid-60s, even close to 70 on Wednesday. Cooler again on Thursday with highs in the 50s and then getting warmer to start the weekend.
Support for Colorado Public Radio comes from Bonfils Blood Center with a reminder that blood donations are needed every day. Appointments and information on donating blood and saving lives at bonfils.org.
Colorado Public Radio is supported by members, including network partners.